Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.
Photography to me is a way to see the world, and you're getting to see it through the photographer's point of view. Just like when I write a book, even though I'm writing all these other characters and their points of view, really I'm the director of the show, of the book. And it's the same to me for photography. You are showing what you want the viewer to see. And in my case, I do like to take it's amateur photography. I don't try to be a professional, but long ago I was married to someone, and he was aspiring to be a photographer, and he would have me go out and find the shots while he took different pictures out in nature. So I really learned early on by studying some really good photographers and their work what I liked in a picture and how I like to set it up. And so kind of ironically, we've been divorced for years now, but I then went on and started using that knowledge, and I take fun photographs as I travel and share them with fans online so they can see different parts, wherever we go. Of it's, the US, we've been to Mexico, Canada, all the, mostly Western Hemisphere so far. So that's the long-winded version of what photography means to me.
Podcasting remotely can be a real pain. It's quite challenging, but it doesn't have to be. Zencastr has this all-in-one web-based platform and makes the process really quick and easy. That's the way it should be, right? Just focus on the podcast. So let's talk about the quality and the challenge of recording online. So Zencastr gives crystal clear sound and really nice HD video. I know I don't use it, but it's there. Now, that's not even to mention how easy it is to use. Like even for my guests that aren't even that tech savvy. There's nothing to download. They just click on the link and start recording. Zencastr is all about making your podcasting experience easy, and everything from local recording to automatic post-production in the tool. You don't have to leave your browser to get the episode done. Maybe you want to make podcasts as well. I mean, I think it's a great idea personally. Obviously, I'm running one. I think you should make one too. It's easy. Just do it. I actually use Zencastr. If it sounds great, that's because the platform works. And if it sounds like crap, that's because I've done something wrong. But Zencastr really does give me amazing quality for my guests. If you go to zencastr.com/pricing, blah, 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 and enter this promo code, look, it's already long and confusing, and I'll just make it easier by putting the link and the promo code in the episode description. If you do that, you get 30% off your first 3 months. So that's actually pretty sweet. So look in the description for the link and the promo code, and then you get 30% off to start doing your own podcast. Do it. Go for it. Zencastr. Anne Charles. That's it. Anne Charles. That's your name?
That's my pseudonym.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Is that what is that what I'm gonna call? I'm gonna call you Anne. That's it.
Yes, and okay. It's partly my name. So I diversed it because I had children when I got started, and I knew some people, other authors that were having trouble by using their real names. So I used part of my name, and my brother is my illustrator and cover artist. His name is Charles. So we kind of combined it.
Let's not give away too much. Let's keep things under wraps.
Okay.
First of all, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm working with a guy who has years and years of experience in radio. And he described radio as being like the theater of the mind. And so we are going to look at your photographs. I'm going to look at them, discover you through your photos. And then that way discover who you are and your, and also what's important to you and where you want to focus people's attention, because maybe that'll change from one day or week or month to the next. But when you thought about this podcast and you thought, okay, well, so you curated a little journey for us, and I am super excited. So huge thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it was fun. I really hesitated because it's so different from many of the podcasts I do where we're really focusing on the books, and this was kind of more on me and
Yeah.
what I like to share, with others. So this was really fun to put it together.
Okay, good. We haven't done this, so maybe you'll hate it. By the end of the conversation, you'll be like,
Oh
"Oh, this guy's
no,
an idiot." But we'll see.
I don't think so.
Let's go to the first photo.
Okay.
It's a photograph of you holding up. First of all, you're in a beautifully lit room. It's a very nice image. You're covered in what looks to be splashes of either icing sugar or flour. You're wearing a
Right.
really nice black sort of baker's cap. It's black though, because usually they're white.
Mm-hmm.
You're wearing a black with white, very fine polka dots, a white polka dots shirt. You're holding up a book. It says Anne Charles and let's see, Dearly Departed in Deadwood. Is that right?
Nearly departed. Yeah.
Nearly Departed
We
in
with
Deadwood.
the names on the titles.
Sweet. Okay. Your apron says Life's Short, Moon the Cook.
Yep.
In your right hand, you've got a cookie tray and what looks like very black, dark. I mean, it could be squid ink meatballs. And
Cookies.
cookies.
Bird
Okay.
cookies. Yeah.
Bird cookies, very nice. And then on the table in front of you is a pile of books.
Right.
So, Anne Charles, take it away. What is this?
So whenever I write, because it's such a sedentary profession, and I'm not naturally thin, I am always wanting to eat. It's like give me food while I write, and I'm always,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like, on a diet when I'm writing a book because I'm in between book signings. So I've come home, I've eaten more, enjoyed life, and now I have to diet again to get back and get ready to get back out there with the next book tour. So when I write the books, my stories, I often include food.
Okay.
I'm very, and it's not like they're cooking mysteries at all. It's just the people eat all kinds of food. And long ago, I've written over 30 books, and
Whoa.
long ago, my readers started noticing, you really like to, what is this recipe? What is this thing called? Give me the recipe for this. And two wonderful readers that have become friends volunteered to help me create a cookbook based
Oh,
on all the recipes from those books that you see in front of me in the
nice.
picture. And so they went through them, combed through them, pulled out the recipes. They did a lot of the work of finding recipes, trying and experimenting, and putting it together. And then we pulled quotes from the different books to show where the recipe was used and in what book. And we made a cookbook. And we also took some people, if you wanted to submit some recipes, some readers that wanted to be part of it, they could submit it. So that's what
Wow.
the cookbook, that is the cover for the cookbook. And what I like to, the reason I wanted to share it was, not only is it's the combination of all the things, it shows, all the different books. Kind of, you can get a glimpse of some of the books that I write and what the
Mm-hmm.
covers look like. And as for me, yes, it is flour. The cookies are truly burnt. We burned them. And everyone who follows me on Facebook or different social medias, for the most part, quickly learns that I am not a good cook. I'm not great at it at all. I struggle with eggs, and I can do it so the kids won't starve. But
I had no idea you were such a weirdo. I love this.
so my husband cooks, and he's marvelous. He used to work in a restaurant long ago. Now he
Nice.
co-writes with me, but so we thought it would be a lot of fun to have me on the cover with these burnt cookies, because all my readers know I'm horrible at this. This is not what I do.
By the way, okay, let's give these cookies justice. They're not just burnt. These are gloriously charred. I mean, this is pure carbon. Anybody
Uh-huh.
who wants to learn about coal should take a look at this photograph and say, I
Ex-
don't know how you created that, but
My husband did it on the grill. Again, see, he's the cook. He did it for me and helped me do that. And then the whole moon, the cook. So
Hmm.
one of the books, it was I think number 11 in my Deadwood series, mystery series, or maybe earlier. One of the funny older guys in it, he had an apron that said "Life's Short, Moon the Cook," and
Mm.
so we decided to name the cookbook after that. He's one of the
So good.
fan favorites, and those two that helped me with the cookbook, they also have. A great printer and they can make all kinds of things such as the apron and the hat. So we made a
Great.
bunch of those when we released it, and it's not a wide release. It was a limited Christmas thing. I think we had 200 to 300, and we
Hmm.
sold out pretty quickly. And you could buy the apron or the hat too. And so that was
Wow.
that. And then to finish it off, the polka dot shirt. Those are my pajamas. So I
It's
wanted it to be
nice.
casual,
Hmm.
and readers to feel like, yeah,
Is that in your house?
and that's our kitchen, our red kitchen.
Beautiful.
Thanks. We love colorful stuff. So
Yeah.
we moved into a beige house and we just started painting colors all over.
Mm.
So that's the story of that.
That's great. Way to start. Okay, so I have to rewind a little bit. So
Okay.
you've written 30 plus books.
Right.
How old were you when you wrote your first book?
Well, and I wrote 7 before the first one published, and number
Oh,
8 was the
okay.
one that. So 8 was the first published. The previous 7 are they go from pure disaster to okay to hey, we're almost there to I think she's got it, to
Mm-hmm.
that we
Mm-hmm.
published. So that was back in the late 1990s into the early 2000s. I was also having my 2 children in
Wow.
2005 and 2007, and a full time job and finishing college. I took the long doctor path to get a 4-year degree, type of
Wow.
thing. So I had a lot going on. Married, like I said, a full time job as a technical writer. So a lot went into before I first
Mm-hmm.
published in 2011. And like I said, that was book 8 that I published. It
Wow.
wasn't the first or the second. And I'd had some progress with getting an agent and publishing interest, but then no, we don't think your audience is going to be big enough, for different reasons. It's in the Midwest, and
Right.
so there'd been a lot in between, before
Mm-hmm.
that first book was published. But since 2011, then it's been over 30.
You have quite the production. I mean, maybe this comes from the training as a professional writer, but you seem just from the few moments that I've known you now, you're very well. You're hilarious, but you're also
Thanks.
quite decisive. Like in how you speak. You're very on point. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, and how does that come out in your writing? Like, how much hesitancy and how much pause do you have in producing a manuscript?
Well, I used to write faster because I was so hungry to get out there to get things,
Mm,
so I wrote books. I write longer books. They're 120 to 130,000 words, so they're not like 60.
mm-hmm.
Okay, I wish I wrote shorter books because I could publish much faster, but my brain wants to tell a big story, so we take our time and tell a big story. So now it takes me, 4 to 6 months to get a book out. And that's
Wow.
if, the older I get, more things affect me in life with family. So I've slowed down a little bit more, but I hope to get going again here soon and speed back up. But anyway, it takes me a while. I also write humor. That's one of the mainstays of, the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really thought about how difficult humor can be until another wonderful writer, and she writes humor too. She said to me, "Do you realize how hard it is to write what we write and make people laugh? Have you ever, thought about that?" And I said, "Well, not until now." Now
Mm-hmm.
you've made me realize, oh no, I was just telling the story how I would want to hear it. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times as I write, I'll write a quick first draft of a chapter and then I'll go through it and start polishing it. I equate it to it's black and white at first, and then I start coloring in spots until
Right.
I hit it. And when I'm almost done with that chapter, I will have gone through it several times and I'll read it aloud because I'm looking for the cadence,
Sure.
for how things fall. Because when you're writing humor, you got to make sure the joke works,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then I send it off to about 10 to 12 people who I call my first draft crew. And they read a chapter and get back with me, and each has a different job. One of them tells me, what made her laugh. The other tells me if I was consistent with the rest of the series, if I
Right.
screwed up and turned somebody's eyes a different color. So I have a really
That's a
big
huge team.
process. Yeah, that's just first draft. Then it comes
Wow.
back, I put them in, and of course, my husband is my very first draft reader because he tells me, nobody tells me like it is, but
Mm-hmm.
besides him, he'll really give me the full, no, this isn't working, or, oh, this was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in their edits. I go through it again. I send it to a professional editor. She gets back to me. I take and put her edits in. I go through it again. I send it to my beta crew, which is anywhere from 30 to 50 people, depending on how
Oh,
many I
wow.
want to pull. And they read it, and they have read the series, most of them. Sometimes I pull a new one in that's never read anything, so she can see, or he can see, how book 11 feels without having read anything else. And then comes back, put their edits in one more time, and then we upload it, publish it.
Oh, that's great. I love that somebody who doesn't know anything about this stuff is going to listen to this and all of a sudden kind of have a really much clearer sense of wow, how the process works. And I mean, you're a machine. Amazing. You're amazing.
Well, I had to develop it early on. I learned I didn't want to initially be an indie author. I wanted to go with a bigger publisher,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through all the hoops. And like I said, I had an agent, and I tried to do everything I could to get in, but I couldn't pick a genre back in
Mm-hmm.
the mid 2000s, and the publishers would say, what are you doing here? Are you writing humor? Are you writing mystery? Are you
They
writing
want to
some
pigeonhole you,
romance?
yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't do it. I would say, well, they'd go, well, at least give us, 60% of this, or they had all these weird percentages in the boxes to fit in. And I said, I can't, this is what comes
Mm-hmm.
out, this is the story I want to read. So this is what comes out on the page. And fortunately, time quickly changed, and mixed genre became something people like to read and people sought out. And with the Amazon and all the other online vendors, you could pick multiple, so you weren't on a bookstore under mystery only. You
Yeah.
could be mystery, you could be paranormal, you could be, Western, whatever you wanted to be, all mixed
Nice.
together, and people could find you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use that as the funny segue to the next photo.
Okay,
You down?
I'm ready.
Now that is beautiful. Okay, so you're standing. I'm assuming this is sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting into. Okay, so the foreground is leaves that are quite. So I'm gonna say this is more northern states because the leaves have changed color quite a bit. You don't tend to see that kind of color change, but it's at a slightly high rolling hill, and below, far away, you can see a big valley with a few peaks, and the sky is pretty, and the colors are warm and amazing. And now that I kind of know a little bit about you, there's something bent going on here, but I can't figure out what it is. It's a beautiful beautiful sunset, but there's something afoot.
It's Mesa Verde in southwest Colorado.
Ah, okay.
Mesa Verde. So we are high. I mean, even though it's not northern, higher up
Mm,
latitude, it's, I'm trying to think, are they a mile high there? They're up a bit.
mm-hmm.
So they do get the color changes in the leaves. And uh, like I said, we like to travel. We do a lot of road travel because my husband and I, while we can fly, we don't like to fly. We like to
Okay.
take side roads, back roads, get off the beaten path, and see stuff on our way to different book signings.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
so this was a trip up to Deadwood for a fall book signing we were doing. The kids were with me. with us, I should say. And we always try to incorporate something with the trips so the kids aren't bored stiff,
Hmm.
and yeah, they still might be bored stiff, but hey, you get to see the cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde. It's really
Yeah.
awesome and learn about them. But we had to race to get to this point because the sun was setting, and
Right.
it was really it was a rush to get there, and it was actually pretty cold. It
Hmm.
looks warm. It looks so nice and sunny in fall, but it was really cold. And it's just, I included it because it's one of my favorite pictures and it's fall. And I love the fall. So, not really anything dark or weird, just
No, no, but it's okay. So it's connected to Deadwood.
right,
Okay. So
right.
why don't you explain a little bit of that as a motif, right?
So, you mean Deadwood. And
Yeah. Well,
the,
well, within.
so my parents divorced when I was really young, and my mom, when I was in junior high, moved to Deadwood, South Dakota.
Okay.
It's in the Black Hills, which are like foothills to the Rockies or other, mountains. Not quite what's up in Vancouver, but a good size. They're a mile high, some of the towns
Hmm.
within. So I went with them for summer visits and whatnot and fell in love with this old West town and the history. And partly because I was bored stiff and I had to go into town with my mom while she worked, or I'd be stuck out in the boonies with nothing to do. So I like to just walk the town and go to the museum and learn everything I could about Deadwood. And I kind of fell in love with it way back when.
Are
Well,
you the only child?
no, actually, there's
There's
many.
17 of us.
I'm the fourth out of fifth for my mom, but
Okay.
fourth out of
Okay.
fourth for my dad because she
Because you
remarried.
you paint the picture. You're kind of like wandering the streets.
Well, I was alone because most of them are older, like way
Ah.
older. So I was kind of tagging along behind, and I just really enjoyed it. And I
Hmm.
started writing, and it wasn't the first series that I wrote. I tried a series set in Mexico, which is called my Dig Site series, and then I dabbled with a series set in southeastern Arizona, which is my Jackrabbit Junction series. And then I realized I'm just going to write this story about this single mom because I had two kids by then, or no, I had one kid and was pregnant with my next, and the big gold mine had recently shut down and jobs were scarce.
Hmm.
And I thought, what would it be like to be a single mom here raising twins? And real estate is great because she can travel and see the haunted houses. Because anyone who's been to Deadwood or watched stuff about Deadwood is notoriously haunted
Is
everywhere.
this Deadwood the same Deadwood as the show Deadwood?
It is. It is. It's the
Okay, so
same.
full on, full on. So steeped in history. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. There's so much. And you go into I swear to God, just about every other house or every building. And this is a haunted one. And I'm like, of course it is, and everybody has the story, which is so much fun if you're
Wow.
into that. So why not mix mystery, which, I had tried romance for a couple years because I read a lot of romance growing up and I loved it, but I just can't emote enough
Hmm.
to satisfy the publishers. They were like, more emoting, please. I was like, she said she likes him. What more do you need? Come on.
No, I need more. I need more feeling. It's like, well,
What more? I mean, they slept together. That's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
obvious.
yeah,
That so, and I love not to diss romance. Those who do it well are incredible because I
yeah.
can't do that. So I switched to mystery because I always liked a little bit of mystery. Now, not like Agatha Christie. I wasn't into the Nancy Drew and that too much. I like more of a mystery blended in with a
Hmm.
story. So and Deadwood has the history with the ghosts, and I love the supernatural. So I thought, let's just blend those all together, and with a lot of comedy, because the people from Deadwood that I've grown up, off and on over the years, and that I know so well now, are wonderful. They're so funny. They're down to earth, and the things they say, and I just love them. And so why not bring that to life?
Your friend knows what she's talking about in terms of how hard it is to write humor and write comedy, and there is something. It is just riffing, and it is, and in a way, it's probably like, well, I think it's funny, so I
Right.
imagine other people would think it's funny, but it's it's a theory of mind sort of thing. Like, I think this is something that you're gonna laugh at, And it's something very strange if you think about it, where let's say you have a video showing one of your readers sitting on a bed or on the sofa. It's quiet all around. Flip a page. The eyes are just tracking the words. And all of a sudden, for some reason, the words that you put together creates blows a fuse in their head, and they just start laughing.
Right.
It's a very funny, if anything, you're getting an emotion that is not, from like a romance, but you're getting a surge of emotion. So
Right.
it's not, it's not obvious.
See, and if I think about it too much, I equate it to looking into the sun. Don't look into the sun. Just keep going, keep your head down and keep doing what you do, and finding the humor. And I often look at it as I'm out there, some people won't like the stories or my sense of humor. And that's cool. We have different sense, people have different tastes. But when I find people that do like it and have fun and contact me or come to a signing, I love it because I have found people that share a sense of humor with me. And that's not always easy in this world.
Sure.
It's a way of, it's almost like you're looking at for friends and you're kind of, going through, no, you're not going to work because you don't like how I wrote that, or you had a problem with this, but you loved it. Come on, let's go do something together. Let's talk. When
you said you have your little beta team of 10, 15 people, maybe, or was it more than that?
The first draft is 10 to 12. The beta is 30 to 50, depending on what
30 to 50. Basically volunteers.
Yeah, completely. They're awesome. And they'll drop.
Respect.
I'll say, you'll have it in a week, and I'll need it back within a week. And these aren't little books, and they have lives, they have jobs and family. And I always say, if you can't do this run, just let me know. And I won't, I'll pull you for another one. And so they have the opportunity to go, no, it's not going to work with my schedule. But majority of the time, they do it. They all do it.
One of the sides of my brain is very much wrapped around entrepreneurship. And what is it to be an entrepreneur? And really to be an entrepreneur is not like Evel Knievel was kind of like an entrepreneur, but his brand was just him.
Yeah,
right. To use a very old example that nobody may get. But, in your case, you've taken something which is writing, which is just, for many people, solitary. And you could be a completely antisocial human being and be an amazing author, maybe. But what's interesting is that you've got teams of people that you're beta testing with. It's like, what do you think of this? It's astounding.
I'm very fortunate. I mean, I feel very lucky. The first time I put out a beta call, it wasn't like my genius idea. There was another author years and years ago that she had done it, and she had 200. And I went, wow, that's a lot of people. And I had just a few books out. And so I thought, well, I'll put a beta call out on Facebook, see who else wants to do it. I got 200 people. Wow. Holy cow. And I ran with 200 people, and that was hard work.
Isn't that a lot to go over?
Yes, because one of my things that I do, because you've given me your time.
Yeah.
And helping me is I'm going to respond to every single email
200
that comes
times.
in. So that became something of a wow. But in addition, so once the book's released, then we form our promo team. And beta readers can also be on the promo team if they want to. But the promo team, then we take volunteers, and we have different names. Like for the Deadwood Undertaker series with my husband, we call them the Deadwood Prospectors. For the more current Deadwood Mystery, it's the Deadwood Deputies. For the Jackrabbit series, it's the Prickly Pear Posse.
I am shocked by how lazy you are in
what
your
do you
process. Mean? Of course not, you weirdo.
I know.
Of course you're not lazy.
Well, I was thinking, they're helping me. Maybe I should be doing more to market.
No, are you crazy? Oh my God! I'm humbled. That is amazing. What an operation.
It's people, and I have help. My sister-in-law is my assistant, and my husband is just part of this whole thing too. I just tend to get out there more, but he does so many things behind the scenes. Technology in me,
cook?
I take and cook. I would take a bat to the computer if I had, was left alone, where he steps in and he can just he does the formatting. He does so many parts of it, the uploading, all that kind of stuff that I'm like, oh gosh, don't make me think about that.
Respect.
So I have like I said, my brother is my illustrator and cover artist, and then my husband takes his art, scans it, and then he's a graphic artist too. So it's a family thing, and my sister's a bookkeeper, and my sister also sells them out there at fairs. So we joke that when somebody new comes in the family, it's kind of like, oh, nice to meet you. What do you do? What are your skills?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Can
an amazing empire.
But the promo team, those guys are, again, volunteers, and they don't get the book for free. They all go buy it. And then they go and tell the world about it. Now, what we do, I have fun as I'm writing a book, going shopping to find themed things that go with the story. And so whatever I find and buy, it matches the story in some way. And then we do a drawing at the end, and we usually give away about 80 to 100 prizes that
Wow.
So it's not a small thing. And sometimes the prizes are just like special, little keychains, and sometimes they're bigger things.
Yep.
Yeah, something that goes with the story. And then I write a thank you card to everyone. The beta team gets a thank you card that's different from the promo team, and they get thank you cards and magnets, special unique magnets. They can only get, with certain things.
Right.
So I think in my time I've written over 5,000 thank you cards so far, and it kills my hand.
I have met a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, business leaders from huge organizations to very small startups to all kinds. And I really hope that when somebody listens to you talk, if there's a little switch or a little lever or a little something, but it's more like a fire in the belly that is in a way that you couldn't even put out if you tried, right? So why don't you talk about what is that thing inside you that drives you like this? Because it's fierce.
I think it's genetic. My mom was an entrepreneur. My father, they were divorced, but my dad was even more so, built a big business on, just totally on its own. And he didn't go to college even. He just knew what he needed to do, and he just kept building and has built this big thing. And he never stopped. It was always, if we used to joke that, and we still do, on your gravestone we'll put, here lies, Dad, he never had time. And that sounds sad, but he did have time. But he worked Christmas morning because why not? And so I grew up in this family, and my sisters and my brother, we all just, I joke that we work, and then we're like that horse that's ridden till it keels over dead. That's kind of the way we just constantly go.
I think that might be your epitaph. No, just joking, just joking.
I know. I try to be with my kids. I try to make time because, and for the first few years of writing, once I published, I didn't have a lot of time. I was working 2 jobs. I was working full time, and then I'd come home, take care of the babies with my husband, and then when they'd go to bed, I'd stay up till 2 writing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you see, that tenacity and that strength and that, I mean, it's so amazing. And then I really hope somebody who listens to this, kind of on the one hand, goes, okay, they kind of get an inspiration that no, it is doable. But then I also know that there are people out there who, however you guys are made, that's just the little squirrel that never stops running. Like, it's just constantly going. And that's not an insult. That's a total compliment.
I think it's when you find, they always say your passion, but it's true when you find your passion, because I can tell you, I sat through many meetings with the company I worked for as a tech writer, where someone was passionate about, this or this part of the money and this part of what we were doing. And I would just be sitting there daydreaming, and I made notes. I was always scribbly because and I'd look around at my wonderful friends and think, how can you guys be so interested in this? I'm working on stories in my head and figuring out plot lines, but you guys are so in. And I'd walk out of a meeting and think, I'm going to have to study up on what we just talked about, because none of that sank in. It was.
And your supervisor comes to you and says, "You know what your problem is? You have no tenacity and you're no persistence.
I know.
You're a flake."
I'm a, I would try so hard to pay attention, and I couldn't hold on to it. But when I went to a writers conference
Yeah.
and somebody talked about marketing, or somebody talked about something related to building a story, I soaked it in. I didn't even need to take
Nice.
notes. It just soaked in. And so I realized I really need to get out of this tech writing job. And it helped me. It really taught me a lot about writing, being a tech writer.
For sure.
But I need to focus, because this is where I'm good. This is where I can remember things. So
Amazing.
I think that's the thing. When you find that, whatever it may be, it's a wonderful thing to be able to find, and then do it, do something with it.
Again, another stunning image. Okay, this time the sun is setting on the right side of the photographer. The photograph is looking up a dirt path. The grass is kind of dry. This could almost be Hong Kong in the dry season.
Oh,
There's
really?
a bit of tall grass. Yeah, it's somewhat similar.
Yeah.
There's green shrubs, not the same kind of trees, but the hills, rolling hills, not too high. The sky looks there are a couple of white clouds, most all blue. It's afternoon sun. It's a beautiful image. So whoever made the shot is using a pretty decent camera. So yeah, I'd say winter-ish. So what is this?
It's, again, that's me and my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like within a mile across the main road from where I live. It's called Granite Mountain. And it's a mountain that's older than the Rockies, down here in Arizona. And we hike it a lot. We walk over to it and go, and it's a nice park where you can ride horses, I think, and bicycles, and that's it. But I take a lot of pictures when I'm over there through the different seasons. And one of the things I used it for from the start, going over there and taking pictures, was when I moved to Arizona. So we lived in Seattle about 20 years, my husband
Oh, wow.
and me, before. I mean, he'd lived there longer. He's from Washington. But I lived there a little over 20 years, I think. But anyway, I said I was moving to Arizona, and I had lived here back in college for a short time, and I loved it. But I was up in Flagstaff, which is mountains. Their peaks are 12,500, I think, and it's a lumber town. And I didn't want to move back to there. I wanted to move still to the mountains, but not there. So we moved to Prescott, which is more of a rancher town. Not quite as high. The mountain you're looking at is 7,000 feet. We live at 5,000, so we're a mile high. But people kept saying to me, I can't believe you're going to leave the Seattle area and go to the desert. And I'd say, but I'm not going to live in the desert. I'm living in the mountains. No, Arizona's a desert. And I'd say, well, Arizona has deserts, but it has mountains, and there's 6 different biomes. And then they just glaze over, because here I go down to my science,
I
physical
love it.
geography.
I love it. Geek out.
I'm a big physical geography fan, and my husband, he actually got his degree in that, and I can't remember the exact words.
Wait. What's his name?
His name's Sam Lucky on the book.
Okay, it's okay. You can just say Sam. It's good.
Sam. So Sam and I travel, and we have those books where it says, this is the rock formation, and this is how it's formed at this milepost. And so we really like to geek out on physical geography, and so
That's the best.
And so that's part of this picture is beautiful Granite Mountain. It's these big. It was this huge mountain. So old. I think it goes back to, they figured, the Jurassic. There's something with dinosaurs, one of those late ones, and it's still here, but it's just been broken down to these huge boulders. So much of it, some of them house size, some of them car size, and it's just slowly decaying granite. And I just love it, because it just feels like a connection to something so long ago. And it's a fun place to hike. It's got nice paths, and sometimes we see snakes and sometimes we don't. So it's just, and we like to hike. I do. I especially like, wherever I can, hike in the mountains is one of my favorite things. So that's why I included that. It's a little bit, not just the photography, but something I enjoy doing.
Yeah, well, and Okay, I can tie it into, okay, living in Hong Kong. Like I said, this could be Hong Kong. Let me see, convert it into feet. So roughly the tallest peaks in Hong Kong is about 3 to 4,000 feet. So
Hmm.
not too high.
Hmm.
But the rolling hills and this idea of going on a hike for say 2 or 3 or 5 hours is in some ways rejuvenating and is many ways meditative, because I don't know if you feel this, but I kind of feel the first hour that you're on a hike, it's all the junk that kind of has to come out, and
Right.
blah blah blah, and then you kind of hit this moment of, well, some people quiet, some people song, some people, but it becomes quite meditative.
Hmm.
So could you connect this to the process of either of writing or in the process of internalizing or to,
So my husband goes with me. You don't hike alone if you're a woman. Most of us don't.
well, that's one of the good things about Hong Kong is that it's super safe.
Oh,
But
nice.
in the US,
Yeah.
fine.
So we always go together, and sometimes the kids, but most of the time it's just him and me while they're at school. And we will brainstorm. Hiking is where some of our, the first we're talking about, like you said, the first little bit is going, okay, this is what's going on with the kids at school, or we're frustrated with and talking about different things in life. But then we get to the point where we get back to where, we're looking at way up at Granite Mountain or somewhere back on that trail, and some of the plants and different cacti. And then it starts, okay, so here's where I'm at in the story, here's what I kind of want to happen. What are some things that, and then we'll start brainstorming.
Amazing.
So a lot of these hikes are full of that. A lot of our travels are brainstorming. Our poor children, we'll talk about somebody, and my daughter will go, are these people, is this a real person
Right.
or is this a fake person? And so we have to, and she's never quite sure. She's read some of our books, as has my son, but there's so many characters. So
What are their ages?
they're now 15 and 17.
Okay. Here's what's also interesting is that, there's this theory of we don't really, as people, we basically learn through mimicry, right? Monkey see,
Right.
monkey do, all
Right.
the time. That's all we do. That's the foundation of learning. And so just like you got this essence or this foundation of entrepreneurship or whatever from your, I would say, from your parents,
Hmm.
then in the same way, like your kids who will grumble and whatever are going to, they're totally steeped in your process and in your mindset and how you work, and also the connection of how you and Sam and your husband, develop ideas together. So how do you see your process influence your children in a way that's kind of recognizable? Like, oh, that's from us.
Well, my son has written one book. He's writing his second. He's a 17-year-old. He's working on his second, but he's going back and editing the first.
Amazing.
And he writes long books. Not just, I was like, wow, that's 130K. That's a big book. They're a fantasy, steampunk mix. So we'll talk about plot. We'll talk about different things, character development. I'm always trying to read. It's hard to read something it's not really my genre. I love to watch movies with
Hmm.
that, but reading, I don't tend to read that genre mix. But I try to with him, and so does his dad. And then we'll talk about, okay, maybe you need more character development here because I was confused by what was going on, or I have a cast of characters at the beginning of my books because I haven't written, I guess I've created over 500 characters. I have a lady a friend that keeps track of, she has these big spreadsheets of all my series so that I can be consistent. And
Yeah.
she does it as a business, but we started together. So she's awesome. And she helps me by keeping track. So he's learned the importance of keeping track of your characters and making them unique. And he has lists at the beginning of his book now with his cast, so there's all these ways that, he's become a writer. Now he wanted to just finish schooling and be a writer. And we're like, no, 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 no. You have to get to that point. You have to go out in
Hmm.
the world and do some work and live amongst, do the jobs, do the grunt work, do all that. And that's what gives you the good experience to write better stories. So He knows he's got to get a day job. He's got to go to college and figure out some kind of day job that'll support him until he's, full on ready to publish. And he also knows we don't just publish anything. This has to
Hmm.
be high quality if you're going to put it out there, because they'll buy the first one. And if you drop the ball, they won't buy another from you. So you
Right.
get your one shot, and he gets that. So he does that, as well as high school and that. My daughter, she has read more of my books. She is, oh man, she's taught herself guitar. At my parents this summer, we were just at my parents in Ohio, and she was teaching herself piano and playing on the
Hmm.
piano, playing different songs. She's so creative in such a different way, and but at the same time, she's got an engineer brain. So
Hmm.
she will help me with marketing. I'll start doing a video or something. She'll go, Mom, I don't think you should do it that way. I think you should film it, from this angle, and then show this, and maybe put this music and cut it here.
Awesome.
So I've told her time and again, you've got to help me with marketing more. You've got to help me create this, the videos, because I don't work video. That's just not how my mind works.
That's amazing.
So they're already, putting that to work. But at the same time, long ago they said, they were younger in junior high, and I want to be a YouTuber for a living. That's what I'm going to do. And I said, you can't just be a YouTuber. And they said, you're a writer. Dad's a writer. Why can't we be you? I was like, okay, well, you got to have a job too. You got to have something to pay the bills
Oh
first.
man.
So I learned I can't tell them that if you want to be an actor, I can't say, well, you won't, that's a hard
Right.
thing. If you're driven, you might, you can make it happen. So
Well, there's a great stepping stone for the next photo. If you're down.
I'm ready.
Hard left. I love it. Okay, so who made this photo?
Me again.
Okay, so it is essentially a very close-up portrait of this absolutely stunning cat who's probably about 1 to 2 years old. He's got it's white and gray with just a little bit of black. The exposure is, for those people who know the photography, and it's like it's like a high, not high definition. Oh, what's the term? I've forgotten it. Anyways, the dynamic range of the image is really, really wide. So you have essentially everything's beautifully exposed, from the sky behind to the trees. He's lying on a nice fence.
Mm-hmm.
The wood is quite old. It could be a farm fence, and there's a little bit of wiring there. And he's looking. I mean, his irises are super, super small. So you have these beautiful eyes, beautiful pink nose. I have lots of cats, so
Oh,
I know
nice.
cats.
Yes.
And lots of
Yes.
dogs. I know dogs. But what's the significance of your beautiful cat?
Okay. So I'm not a full on cat lady yet,
That's fine.
but I think four is a good number. And when I sent you this, I had three. And I think I
Okay.
said I liked four, but I didn't know if we would get to make that happen. And we now have four. We have a kitten, and she's a tortie.
Oh, so
So
that she.
no, actually, that's Loki. He's a boy. But the funny thing about Loki is we've always had girl cats.
Yeah.
Just, boys tend to spray a little bit more. So
Hmm.
we've tended, we haven't had tons of cats over our time, but we tend to get girls. And we had a girl cat at home, so we didn't want to get, and she's tiny. We didn't want to get a bigger. We wanted something that wouldn't freak her out.
Hmm.
When we travel, we like to get a kitten. So
Okay.
so Loki, we picked up in Idaho. We were on our way home from Washington visiting a family, and we checked Portland, and we tried to hook up with somebody in Portland to get a kitten, and didn't work. And we got to Idaho, we got to Boise, and where all the farms are outside of Boise, and there were lots of kittens available. And
Hmm.
so we went to this farm, and they had like, wow, 10 or 12 all together. And it was uncomfortable because the kids were standing there watching and so sad. And we were like, we're going to take a kid, and I'm sorry. And so we picked up Loki
Why was it sad?
because they were sad. It's their cats. You could tell they were they love their kittens and we're going
Ah,
to
okay,
take
okay,
one
okay.
away. So it
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, they were watching from between the banisters
Oh
like they were kids
no.
and kittens. So we reached into this big kennel where they had them all, and Loki came right to us, and we were the guy and his wife was standing, everybody was right there, so we were really kind of uncomfortable,
Hmm.
and in their house, it's just a weird situation. And so we lifted up his tail. Yeah, looks like a girl. Quick, it was just a quick check. And he was a little bit older than we normally get, but we were like, that's okay. He came right to us. He's beautiful colored. Check.
Hmm.
It looks like a girl. Let's get out of here. So we gave him $25 and we hit the road. 20 miles down the road, we named him Artemis, the
Sure.
female goddess. And we get to Walmart down the way to stop and get some litter and cat food and get everything we need to get him home. And I'm inside picking out stuff, and my husband, Sam, texts me. He says, got a problem. This isn't a female. There's definitely testicles on this cat upon closer inspection. So we were like, well, now we got a boy cat.
Hmm.
And so Loki was really the first. We changed it to Loki. He's a
Hmm.
trickster. He tricked us into, we were going to get a girl, but he tricked us into, we joke that he tucked him up so
Hmm.
that we would take him. And we brought him home, and he's wonderful. He's fun. He's big. He's a huge cat.
Oh wow.
And he's got a harem now because that last fall he was getting spay or neutered, and there was a girl kitten there at the vet. And I said, what's the story on this kitten? She goes, oh, it's free. She's already been spayed and shots, and she's free to a good home. And I said, well, we've got a good home. Loki
Hmm.
needs a young friend. So we got Artie. We replaced Artemis. And so then we had 3. And then we were going to Ohio to see my family. And in the past, we have picked up a kitten from my uncle who has a farm and always has tons of kittens. And so we debated, but we went and looked, and now we have Tuco,
Okay.
another little girl, and it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Tuco was the ugly, for those of you who know, because she is torty with an attitude, tortitude, I
Hmm.
think they call it. And brought her home, and oh my gosh, Loki loves her. He just sleeps with her and cleans her and thinks she's the best thing. And I think
Oh.
that, I don't know if he just thinks we got him a toy kitten, to play with because she's so tiny, or if he's got a harem and he just understands.
There's something about having a large. I mean, I find large male cats, the older they get, they're like such softies. Like they're so benign.
Right, right.
Yeah, and so not to say that the females aren't benign or soft, because some of my female cats are also benign and soft. But the large male cat can sometimes surprise you at saying, you're just like the softest thing.
Just a big old softie. Well, so my readers know when we travel, now they often say, are you going to get a cat this time?
Oh,
Or are you not? And so if I do, it's like, yay, and I share the pictures, and, we,
okay. So that opens up an interesting window. Okay, so it sounds to me that you maintain a very, very open channel with your readers.
yes.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about either your expectations when you got into this, how much has changed in the past, like what engagement with your readers has come to mean for you?
When I started, that was back 2008, 2009, when everybody was just getting going on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all new. And I remember I posted something about a song, and somebody wrote, oh, here we go with another song post, kind of, put me in my place. I was like, okay, I guess that's not what you do. So I started sharing, but I was careful. Like I said, I had kids. And so I named, and by at that time they were babies. One was, brand new pretty much, and the other was 2 going on 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so I named my kids, my daughter's Chicken Noodle, she's the younger one, and my son is Beaker.
Mm-hmm. These are
Um,
like pseudonyms for social media.
yes. And
Got it.
so from the beginning, you didn't get to see pictures. People would say, post pictures of your kids. And I'd say, no,
Mm-hmm.
I will talk about them. I'll share some of their funny quotes, but I won't put their
Mm-hmm.
picture out there.
Good for you.
I wanted them to, be able in time to decide if they wanted to be on social media or not, if they
Right.
wanted their face out there or not. So now I will every now and then share a baby picture that you can't really tell what they look like now. It's
Hmm.
so long ago that not even face recognition software would do anything with it. But so I realized soon that people wanted to see into my life.
Hmm.
And I get that. When I take walks, I'll admit there's times if it's dusk, I'll look into a living room window and go, "What are they watching on TV? Look at their life. It's like watching a TV." I don't stalk them. I
Okay,
just
sure.
peek and see what life's like. So I got it. They wanted to see peeks into what my life was like, and that was kind of weird.
Hmm.
That was a new thing back then, especially for an author. Authors weren't, that's an actor.
Yeah.
And actresses, they show their life whatever they want you to see. Authors, we're hidden away. We don't have to show face. So I started, and that was pretty soon thereafter. A couple years after is when I started with the photography too. We were moving to Arizona. My niece said, "You take amazing pictures. I'm putting Instagram on your phone." And I was like, "What is Instagram?" And
Yeah.
she goes, "Take pictures with it, post to this account I've just created for you, and share your pictures. People will want to see these." So I started the photography, with the nature and stuff, and I started sharing more about life in videos. And then, so it's really social media has really changed for many of us authors. We don't live these secret private lives as much
Hmm.
anymore. You still can, and you can run ads, and that's how you promote, or you can show your face and be interactive and build readership that way. So you can, if you're not comfortable with this face stuff, there's other ways to do it, but I'm more comfortable with people. Now, I'm not an extrovert by any
Hmm.
means. I can be on for a while, and then I get tired and I need to shut down and go back. But it started with that, and it's built to, we have a Deadwood fan party every year that we throw, and we have fans come from all over. They've come
Oh,
from over
wow.
Canada, from Hawaii, from Florida. They come in from all over, and we're in Deadwood, and we do like haunted tours, and we do all kinds of stuff. And then we're there with them, so we don't just stay tucked away writing
Sure.
books. We get
Sure.
out there and mix with them and get to know them and have fun. And I think this year is our 11th annual or 12th annual. I'll have to look, but it's fun, and the town of Deadwood does a lot to help us, and get fans. And it's all that kind of, and I don't know how we got from a cat picture to this, but it's
Look, we're
social
just
media.
riffing. We're just riffing.
Right.
It's funny because as I'm talking to you, you're giving me this really nice, warm smile, and the same face that had flour and icing sugar in the hat. But at the same time, there's a photo of your cat just kind of almost staring right at me. And oh yeah, and the phrase is HDR, so high dynamic range HDR photo, where everything's just beautifully like exposed. And I hope people, go check out the photographs because they're really really nice.
Well, thank you.
And it's really funny that on the one hand you're explaining this comfort or deal with the devil or whatever that you've made to understand and use social media and putting yourself out there and still maintaining your privacy.
Right.
And as you're explaining this, I've got this unblinking cat like
Staring at me. Yes, staring at you.
I love
I
it.
know. He thinks he's so tough. He just thinks he's such a badass cat. So that's why I threw that out there, just because I do love animals, and it's not just cats. I do love dogs, but we travel.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
cats are easy to leave at home with a sitter that just comes once a day and checks on them and gives them some attention. Dogs take so much, and I don't. And people will tell me travel with a dog, and I'm like, no, I don't want to travel with a dog. I'll travel with a kitten because they get quiet.
Yeah.
They're quiet at night, but I don't want to travel with a pet. So we don't have any dogs at this time, and we've had a myriad of pets because my daughter went through a phase of wanting to be a vet and wanted every
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
pet. But now we're down to just cats again, and the stray lizard that they bring in every now and then that runs through the house, and we're like, get the lizard out of here, poor lizard. So I am a cat lady. But my husband only lets it go to 4. He's like,
That's
that's it,
okay.
and I appreciate that. Too many, and you don't give them attention. So
Sure.
yeah, I think people, pets are fun. Not that you have to have them, but I think again, it adds to the humor in my
Hmm.
the stories have pets throughout. So but they're not the stars.
right? The food is the star.
The food is the star always in my world. It's always food. Yeah,
Nice.
I joke with people now that I work really hard to stay this chubby. So it's.
And Charles, listen, I really appreciate this. I really inspired by your force of nature. Like, it's amazing to be able to have that tenacity and that discipline, even though it's just a process that you kind of work through, and you have your people and your team. I mean, it's really quite astounding. Hats off.
Oh, thank you. It's not just me. I don't do any of this alone. It takes so many. It takes from all levels. Like I've said, my husband right at the top helping. Without him, it's like the black and white version before it's all colored in. And the kids, so much inspiration from having kids and watching what they
Hmm.
do. And then to family, to friends, to readers, to it just keeps going. And I think that this is not the model for everybody. Some writers don't want to do this. Some entrepreneurs don't want to do this. But people like to help. People like to be part of a team, something successful. And so, given the opportunity, a lot of people will join you just to have something to cheer and go, yay, we did it. And that's something that if you want to build your own empire, then include others, let them be part of it.
Thank you. That was fantastic.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.